Choice. No pretense, no hidden schemes. Just sports, passion, fueling dreams. From the field to the court, every play that's made. Real takes over fake debates. Turn it up, hear the honest sound. Unfiltered sports all year round. Discussions pure, no masquerade. Real takes over fake debates. Turn it up. Over fake debates. Real takes over fake debates. Real takes over fake debates.
And we are live. Sbtalksports Sean Webb, real takes over fake debates, coming at you live here. Always here on Monday at 7 p.m. Central Time. Sean, what's going on?
Doing good, SB. How you doing, man?
Oh, I'm doing good, man. Good Monday. You know, feeling well, feeling swell a little bit. I think my allergies bother me, but besides that, I'm doing pretty good, though, Sean. How about yourself?
Doing good, man. Doing good.
Yeah, so just before we get into it, so be prepared when I'm just letting you know now. When we get on the LeBron topic of the show, we do have a LeBron segment into today. We have collabed with Go James Kingdom. Shout out my boy Johnny. Shout out my boy B. Lee. Our TOFD has evaded Go James Kingdom. So be prepared to probably hear someone when we say something about this LeBron topic today. Probably people maybe get a little angry. But we going to do our thing like we always do, Sean. So be prepared. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Salute, Go James. Salute. Make sure you guys like, make sure you guys share, make sure you guys subscribe, and make sure you also come over to the RTOFD YouTube. Subscribe to us too. But Sean, we got a lot of things to talk about because a lot of things going on in the sports world a little bit. A couple of people have signed some contracts. People announcing things. People announcing that players are going to be out for the whole season, which is obvious. We also got trades that might happen. We also got an anniversary of a big decision, so we got to re-talk about that and see what happened during that time. And then we want you guys to participate too. We're going to figure out what was the greatest quarterback season for each franchise. We're going week to week. We're going to add a division. This division is AFC South. If you guys want to vote on what's the next division we do, put it in the comment section. Let us know. But, Sean, we just go ahead and get right into the sports news because this news broke right before the show. So, you know, we got to drop the breaking news sound. Sorry about that. I need some water. Jeez. Where is – they updated this too. But, boom, breaking news, Sean. Breaking news from the RTOFD breaking news station. Magic forward Paolo Banchero inks a 5-year, $239 rookie max extension. Shar, what's the recap on this? How we grading this? It seems like the Magic is going all in, and they believe in the core that they have.
Yeah, this was always going to happen. When you just look at this rookie class, or when I'm saying the rookie class after they finished their third season, Paolo, J-Dub from OKC, Chet from OKC as well. You know, they're the guys who are likely going to get the max extensions or close to them. So no shock here that the Magic are doing this. Obviously, he's their franchise player.
Yes,
he's been a big part of the turnaround in Orlando over the last 3 years, and so this only makes sense. Now, you know, you draft well, guys develop, they grow. Now you're paying the cost. Yes, now you're paying the cost of doing business, and that's what the Magic are doing here. You know, signing Paolo to this rookie max extension.
Yeah, I like it. I like the move. You know, I'm very high on Paolo Banchero in general anyway. I think the Magic had to do this. You got to secure your star. He's clearly the future of your franchise. I think they did a great job at adding to him. And also understanding that the East is wide open as it is because of another reason too, which we're going to talk about in a second in the next story. You got to ink the deal. You add a vet like Desmond Bane. He fits the mold of what you guys are missing, especially shooting. That was missed a lot with this Magic team. So I think you secure your superstar. You add some vets around him. Now you go make a push. Now he got his contract. Everybody happy. You ain't got no concerns or worry about their money. Now they can go straight out there and ball out. So I definitely get this. This was definitely a B+ to an A move because I feel like you have to do this. You got to pay your superstar. Nobody in their right mind wouldn't believe Paolo Banchero is the future of the Orlando Magic. Next story, Sean, for why the East is wide open. Pacers president confirms Halliburton won't play next season. Now, Sean, we don't curse on our show, so if anybody listening, you're not going to hear all the curse word babble. But I wanted to say when I seen this, I was like, no SHIT. Like, duh, are you common sense to tell you the man – first of all, you tear your Achilles, you go pretty much be out of the season anyway, unless you probably tear your Achilles like the first month of the season, and maybe you can still come back, but I feel like I wouldn't rush back. This man just tore his Achilles on not just in the finals. He tore it on the last game of the season. Like, it couldn't be no other games after this game regardless. Of course he's not coming back. Why do you feel this had to be announced, though? Like, nobody they right man would be rushing Halliburton back.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously, you know, in a slow news cycle, you know, if you're in front of the camera, you know, I don't know if he was asked the question or not, which again, I would have to think that most good sports reporters would know he's not coming back. So why even ask? But, you know, that said, someone did, I guess, and he felt the need to expound on that. Obviously, like you said, SB, he tore his Achilles in Game 7 of the NBA Finals.
The last game of the season.
Yeah, so there was never any expectation, I guess, from most folks who know how those injuries work, that he was coming back sooner than later. And like you said, there's no need to rush him back. I think, you know, the unspoken thing is that organizationally they've made some decisions that there's no need to rush him back. Next year really is going to be a gap year for them, I think. They'll be competitive because it's the Pacers. But in terms of being an Eastern Conference powerhouse, I think we all know that's not likely to be the case next season. So,
and then I think there's no point in even like forcing like the issue of trying to be a powerhouse. Like, you can't do nothing without Tyrese Halliburton. Pascal Siakam is a very nice player, solid player. Actually, super overachiever when it comes to his career, because starting from the G League and getting to where he at, super overachiever. But you lost Halliburton to injuries and you lost Mount Turner. No, this is the time for those other guys that's on the team, the Neesmiths, the 00. I don't know why his name, Ben McLaren. This is those guys' time to actually step up. This is when you will never get this opportunity again to have the green light. Somebody needs to step up and become that secondary guy. So when Halliburton does come back, it's going to take them at least like a year to get in the fold. But Indiana usually don't sign nobody. They usually don't let people walk away anyway. So I believe this core is what the core that we got with this team is probably the same core we're going to have for the next 5 years for the Pacers. So I think the next guy got to step up to be solidified as that third guy. They need that. They need that guy to be that third guy, especially with Miles Turner being out the way. Next story up on the list, Sean. I would definitely glad this happened because I definitely wanted to hear your opinion on it because obviously see the Heat hat on Sean's head. The Heat land Norman Powell. The Miami Heat are acquiring guard Norman Powell from the Los Angeles Clippers in a 3-team trade that also includes the Utah Jazz. Los Angeles reported received John Collins in the deal, while forward Kevin Love and forward Cal Anderson and a 2027 Clippers second-round pick go to the Jazz. Sean, how are you feeling about this trade? Kevin Love obviously didn't like it because he said, never thought I'd be a math problem. And Sean, one of your sayings, and obviously we got new viewers probably going to be listening from Go James Kingdom. It's not about the player. Sean, I tell you, it's about the contract. You move in contracts, you move in the money. The money is always the more important thing. It's not about really the player necessarily. It's about the paper. It's about that money. But Sean, as a Heat fan, how do you feel about this trade? How do you grade it? Are you happy about it? I got a second question, but I want you to answer that one first.
So for all three teams get something out of this trade, right? The Jazz get they get a $26 million trade exception. The Clippers obviously get John Collins, who will probably be their starting power forward next season.
Yes.
And again in a Western Conference that's based on size, and not just size, but also with Harden and with Kawhi and with Zubac, they got a pretty nice team in LA. See, if they're everyone's healthy and available. So, but from the Miami perspective, this was for two reasons. One, the Heat struggle offensively at times during games, particularly getting production from the bench. I got to believe Norman Powell's probably coming off the bench.
Wow.
And it's not a slight. It's just Tyler Hero's there. So and Norman
Powell
Powell,
about the three? Oh, because of the Wigs, you can't do that.
Yeah, because you still have Wiggins, there. And so, and again, Norman Powell has been a six man, right? And he's been a productive six man, and that's probably, again, I'm just looking at, just the roster as constructed. That just seems to make the most sense, particularly with Davion Mitchell coming back. And I think Davion Mitchell is your starting point guard. But besides that, the Heat, so that's the short term in terms of next season. But what it also does is moving Kyle Anderson's contract. Kyle Anderson had 2 years left on his deal. Norman Powell has 1 year left on his deal. The Heat have been, without being overt about it, have been basically clear they want to have salary cap space next offseason in 2026.
Yeah.
So that's the other part of this deal. So Norman Powell can be an unrestricted free agent if he doesn't sign an extension. I do not believe the Heat are going to extend him right now. They're going to wait and see kind of what the landscape is, and again, particularly next month. But so it makes sense for the Heat on all these levels to do it. I like the trade again. We talked about it. During All-Star time, we thought Norman Powell was an All-Star last year. He played an All-Star and probably should have been an All-Star. But so I like the trade. I know people are saying, what are the Clippers doing? The Clippers were never going to extend Norman Powell. That's just the reality, right? James Harden, Kawhi Leonard are your big money players. In this landscape of this NBA, it's hard to have 3 big money guys on your roster. And so that's largely why they made this move.
Yeah. The second question, before I get the second question, I do like the move. I think the Heat did get something. At least you got something. And also, I like it for the Clippers. Like, you try to move an asset. You're not going to sign an asset. Don't let them just walk for nothing. So getting John Collins, I think, is like a big addition for the Clippers, especially with a guy who could be a lob threat next to James Harden, because James Harden definitely like to make those lob type plays. But Sean, it raised the concerns for Heat fans, and I want you to tell me what I know. You in the Heat fan base area, so you know you see and hear things. How are y'all feeling? Because it's always like, hey, we are going to get this big name guy. We're going to get KD. We're going to get Dame. We're going to get Giannis. And then you end up getting like Norman Powell. So it's like Heat fans upset, or is it like, it's just, it is what it is? Is they cool with the Norman Powell move?
No, I mean, I think, again, any sensible basketball fan who knows Norman Powell knows he brings value to your franchise, right? Norman Powell doesn't have to be the biggest name to bring value to your franchise. I think when you just look at where the Heat are right now, the Heat are in that post-Jimmy transition. It's Bam and it's Tyler Hero, and everyone else kind of has to fill in around them, at least for next season. But again, if you're looking at the long term, the Heat have been very clear. 2026, they want max cap space if at all possible. So, because again, that's going to be their way to acquire the big name player, unless someone again becomes available during the season. Then we're going to have a different conversation. But so I think that's the primary thing, is that's what the Heat are focused on. And again, I've been a Heat fan for a long time. This is how Pat Riley moves. 30 years of this is how he moves. So, and again, in the new CBA, this is kind of how you have to move. So it makes sense. The Heat are hard capped because just under the first apron. So, still could there be a couple moves made? What happens with Terry Rozier? What happens with Andrew Wiggins? It remains to be seen. I know there was a rumor about a Wiggins for Rui Hachimura and Dalton Connect. And a first-round pick swap.
I was like, I think Dalton Connect do need to get a change of scenery, because I think he's not a bad player, but I think ever since that traded him and then bringing him back, it ain't really like been the same with him with the Lakers. But I do think that guy be who need to be calling him for is probably like some of the team like the Warriors or the Warriors. I think he'll fit great in with the Warriors. Right at a pace, knock down over jumpers.
Right.
I think he'd be nice with the Warriors.
Yeah.
But we'll see how it goes. Let me know how y'all guys think. Great to move Norman Powell to the Miami Heat. Now, speaking of another player that a team actually want to get rid of, and I guarantee you, Sean, in the next CBA, they probably going to do something about no trade clauses. They're going to make it like once you get traded or once you waive your no trade clause, you ain't going to be able to use it no more because you're just going to be able to keep it. Next story on the list, the Phoenix Suns are considering buying out guard Bradley Beal for the remainder of his contract, sources told Dane Rankin of the Arizona Republic. But when I seen this, Sean, I was like, okay, Bradley Beal must got like 1 year left. No, I'm saying this is what I was thinking. I'm like, maybe he got like 1 year left. It's probably like 50, you know what I'm saying, or 40, but I know he's a big contract. So like I'm thinking like 50 something, maybe half 40 something. He still owed $110 million over the next 2 seasons. What is going on with this bad players out there? Like, okay, we just go buy the contract. I believe that's why. Well, we're gonna talk about him in a minute too. I think that's what LeBron trying to prove. Trying to pull with the Lakers. Because hey, if a team can let you just walk and be a free agent and you still get paid, and then you can sign a new contract and still have that contract still paid at the same time, you get done with the money. Ooh, I might force a buyout too, because I was thinking I'm like Bradley Beal know the Phoenix Suns don't want him, and they know they're not probably gonna play him or anything like that, or he's not gonna be able to showcase how good he is playing with this team. Do I just ask for a trade? But I think a lot of players probably seeing what's going on with Dame is like, no, I just wait, just go ahead back. Give me. Did that baseball holiday just pass? Bob, what's his name? The baseball guy who get paid every year.
Oh, Bobby Bonilla, yeah, July 1st.
I think that holiday just passed, and everybody get that type of fever. 110 million. How can you possibly stretch? I don't know if it's a certain rule on the NBA, like is a year limit, or you can stretch out the money. But 110 million, I'll make them pay me for the next 110 years.
Yeah. So what you can do? There's a couple of options. Obviously, you can talk buyout. Or you could talk about what's called a waive and stretch and waive, basically. So you can waive a player and you can stretch that contract over a 5-year period. So it counts against your cap, but the remaining number counts divided by 5 against your cap.
Oh.
So again, depending on who the player is and how much you're paying them.
I know math, but I want to just make sure my calculation right. About 22 million a year.
Yeah.
Your books for the ooh.
Yeah. So yeah, because that's what Milwaukee did with Dame. So so it's a provision. You can use it. You can't use it all the time. That's the key. So when you make that decision to do it, you're basically committed to that until the end of that 5-year period, or whatever the cap hit is, remaining. So that's essentially what happened. And now Phoenix, I don't think wants to do that. I think Phoenix is
be smart.
And again, some of it is, hey, where are we right now as a roster? The Phoenix Suns are a mess. I mean, let's just be very frank. So it makes sense for them to buy out Bradley Beal because they can't trade him because nobody wants to trade for that contract.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Without getting significant assets to take on that contract, which Phoenix does not have.
And they know Phoenix in a hard ball situation because they know they don't want Bradley Beal. So if I know you don't want something, and it's a lot of baggage that come with that, you gonna have to come up on something for me to take Bradley Beal.
Right. Now the catch is also once Bradley Beal is available, I mean, as a free agent or on the market, there are gonna be teams that want Bradley Beal. So that's the other side of it. So we'll see what happens, but I do believe that ultimately there will be a buyout or a minimum a stretch wave.
Yeah, I think I guess even they said try to find a trade partner. Everybody said no. I don't blame everybody. I don't blame nobody for saying no. But I just think you just got to stick it out if you Phoenix because if you buy out Dame, you buy out Bill, then what? Like he's gonna be free to go wherever he wants to go, and you get pretty much nothing for him. I just stall out this year because the Phoenix Suns is not gonna do anything crazy this year anyway. Just bring Bradley Beal off the bench and just stall out this year. Then maybe next year when you only got 150-something million, and then I don't know what Phoenix thinking. Like, hey, money for 2026? No, it's not. You're not gonna have anybody that want to go sign up to go to Phoenix. I say stick out this year. Then we could revisit it next year because then most teams probably be okay taking a Bradley Beal on an expiring deal, or also he's done after that. So it's like you get a better chance of getting rid of him next year. So I'll stick it out this year. Phoenix not winning no championship.
Yeah, well, the bigger issue is again Bradley Beal has that no trade clause, so Phoenix doesn't benefit on any level waiting because he can basically say no, I don't want to go anywhere next year. And they're stuck. Right. So this is really Phoenix's only way out of it without having significant assets to attach to Bradley Beal's contract to send to a team. And that's their biggest issue. They just don't have the assets to attach to that contract.
That's a tough situation but Phoenix also did one thing too. Phoenix are expected to sign Devin Booker to a $150 million extension. I know it was kind of talks about Bradley Beal, Devin Booker possibly leaving Phoenix, but I don't see him leaving Phoenix at all. I think he would really have to force his hand to say get me out of here at the point he at right now. Maybe when he get late 30s, mid 30s, they might decide to move him, but Phoenix would be crazy to move Devin Booker. He's super attached to the franchise, and Devin Booker is super attached to the franchise. He don't want to leave, so I'm not shocked by this extension at
all. No, I'm not shocked at all. Like USB, Devin Booker, we know who Devin Booker's idol is.
Kobe.
Devin Booker sees himself in one uniform, I believe, for the entirety of his career. That's just how he's wired. Certainly his right. The question is can Phoenix, after getting past this next maybe year or so, can they put a real contender around him? Because lest we forget, Devin Booker has played in the NBA Finals. Obviously, they didn't win, but you got to believe he, in some level, wants to get back to that.
They ruined that team, by the way, because that team was perfectly fine the way it was.
Well,
You
another
added KD.
conversation.
You should have just. We can have a good conversation for another day. But
Yeah.
you had a team that made the finals, and you add KD, and you dismantled the team. That was stupid.
And to me, adding KD to me wasn't the big issue. To me, the big issue was not keeping Chris Paul.
Yep.
So
that was the glue.
Yeah.
Shout out Chris Paul too. I would say shout out Chris Paul too. He's retiring this year too. Shout out Chris Paul. It would be lovely if he could go back to. Dang. So I got a question because I was thinking about this. If I wanted him to either retire with the Clippers or his OG team, so do he go to the Pelicans? Do he go to the Pelicans or do he go to the Hornets?
He would go to the Pelicans because they were in New Orleans.
New Orleans. Okay, that's what I was thinking. Yeah, I would say bring back that Chris Paul Hornets jersey. That'd be hard. Yeah. But
who should? You know what? I want to say just real quick. One day we'll play this game. I think the Pelicans, the New Orleans team should file to get the Jazz name back from Utah.
I think it's too stable. It's too stapled in Utah now.
No, listen. And then here's what Utah does. Utah calls the Grizzlies and say, "Hey, can we get Grizzlies?" And then the Grizzlies get a name that's more, appropriate for Memphis.
What, the Blues, Memphis Blues or something?
I don't know. The Trill.
Trill something. But that I think they ain't gonna do it because that's too much.
No, it's not. It's just me spitball. It's me having a.
Also, I don't understand why teams never did do that though. Like when you at least OKC did it, but it was like franchise new team, but they the Sonics. Like, why didn't every time the team moved, you change the team name? Because there's no point of being the same. Like you said, because teams was named after the area. Like, ain't nothing jazzy about Utah.
Right. There's not a saxophone in Utah. Okay, if we're being honest.
If it is, it's now the frozen.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, but no, I mean it rolls off the tongue, and obviously that's why they kept it. But yeah, it's like giving people their name back.
That. Let those guys think about that. Next up on the free agent list, we didn't get a chance to really talk about this move. We gotta get into this Laker talk. Los Angeles Lakers are signing free agent DeAndre Ayton. How are we looking at this move for the Lakers?
Meh.
Yeah, I mean, it's a meh. It's because Ayton still gotta show and prove because he is talented enough to be great. But for the Lakers, it's not an ad move because it's just you just got Ayton for nothing out the blue. So that's why I'll give the Lakers credit for just getting Ayton out of nowhere without really getting nothing. Yeah, they got lucky.
Yeah,
but if they had to trade pizzas for it, then I feel you. I'll be like, but just get them off the streets.
Yeah, and I'm gonna say this really quickly. As you probably can see behind me, for those who are watching, I'm a Yankee fan, diehard Yankee fan. I don't believe when somebody puts a Yankee uniform on, they're gonna all of a sudden become the best player in the world because they're wearing a Yankee uniform. The Cal Lakers, the Lake Boys, whatever those two fan bases, it's something when somebody comes to their team and they put that uniform on or that star on their helmet, they think they're gonna be the best thing in the world. No. These players, DeAndre Ayton is what he is. He can get you a double-double, 14 points, 10 rebounds, but that's pretty much it.
That's about it.
But if you're asking him to come in and be, Kareem when he got to the Lakers, or Shaq when he got to the Lakers, or even Powell when he got to the Lakers, knock it off.
Unless Luka gonna be putting in crazy work, or Luka just gonna be catch that much attention. But I can't see it. I can't see it at all. But the move is solid though, just to get them off the street. That's why I like it, because the Lakers wasn't getting nobody. It wasn't nobody walking up to sign to LA.
Yeah,
and they had no moves to make.
Right.
Speaking of LA, back to the saga again, Sean. The Lakers are done with LeBron. When do people see this, everybody instantly think, oh my God, y'all keep talking about the Lakers go trade LeBron. They can't trade LeBron. He got a no trade clause. His 50-something million is hard to move. The Lakers, when people say the Lakers are done with LeBron, we're talking about from the perspective where he is in control. He is the main guy. He is about him. We doing things for you. The Lakers have made it clear to LeBron, and that's why we're hearing all this noise, because LeBron just throwing a fit more than anything, kind of peed off about it because he know he's on the tail of his career. He trying to sneak off 1 more championships, even though rings don't matter to him. But that's a different story for a different day too. Yeah, so he's just not the focal point no more. The Lakers are done with him. So they just looking at they said they looking at LeBron as an expiring contract. They're not gonna make no moves for LeBron. If LeBron want to get traded, they'll possibly trade him. But I don't know what team that would trade for LeBron. We go get into that too. What teams we think we could. But how you feel about this? Is the Lakers being done with LeBron? Is it a smart move or think it's a dumb move?
No, I think it's the Lakers doing what the Lakers do, which is when they identify another transitional star, they start the transition from that older star. It doesn't mean they don't want the older star on that team. It's just in terms of how they're thinking about the future of that team, they, want to start thinking about that younger star. They did it with Shaq and Kobe. They did it with Kareem and Magic. This is how the Lakers operate. This is how they've always operated. Now, I will say, with Kareem, he was a lot more willing to concede that, hey, listen, right. Magic got to be our best player. I'm good with that. Kareem was 38 when he won the Finals MVP, and he won championships at 40 and 41 years old. Still is a very great player, but not at the same level that Kareem always played at, part because he was okay with them, Magic taking over and being more of the guy and scoring more, because before that, Magic wasn't a scorer. Shaq and Kobe didn't end so well, obviously, but so this is what they do. Now, again, part of why the Lakers have to do this is because Luka can be a free agent after next season. So they're in the seat whether Luka signs the extension or not. Now they got to do it around Luka, or Luka's going to say, hey, as soon as I can, I'm out of here. And again, I don't know if it's a guarantee that Luka's going to sign an extension with the Lakers.
Guaranteed.
I don't think it's guaranteed. I think they're going to have conversations, but there's no rush for him to do that.
Nope.
And if he does, I think it's going to be a short extension. So, this is what the Lakers have to do this. There's no way around that. And again, it's not a slight to LeBron. It's just, and LeBron hasn't retired. Yeah, and LeBron hasn't given him any indication of how much longer he's going to play.
That matters,
right? Which matters. I think if he had said, "Hey, this season," or he may announce before the season, "Hey, this season's going to be it for me."
It feel like it. I think this going to be it. If he don't go to a different situation, I think this might be it.
Yeah, it just makes to me, it makes too much sense. 23 for 23. It just makes sense. Too much sense.
Marketing is there. Don't force it.
I know the missus has, purported that he should try to play with, Bryce too. And if you're the Lakers, do you want Bryce, Bronny, and Bron with Luka? You know what I mean? Like that's a lot.
Luka gonna be on the first trade to Denver, boy. He gonna be going right over there with Jokic.
Right.
I gotta get up out of there. And then you gotta think.
Go ahead.
I said you gotta also think Luka mindset is probably different too,
right.
after what happened to him.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's the other side, right? Is that he's dealt with the business side of it, and so now, ultimately, he's got to make the decision that he thinks is best for him.
Yeah. Dylan the Villain Brooks is crazy. Comic Captain, I gotta sit up to read it over here, man. But he said, I think it's time for LeBron to leave LA. We all know the Lakers have a terrible FO and the competent FO. So LeBron better leave if he wants to compete. Can't give LeBron and Luka contending roster. No, you can't. You can't do that. Shout out my cousin PJ. P Jack is in the building. Shout out, cousin. He said, what team can send out 2 to 3 players to match his salary and still compete for a championship? I'm glad you said that, cousin, because the next part of this subject is that multiple teams have reached out to him. And honestly, cousin, the only team, I'll try to go back to your comment, the only team that can legitly do this, and I'm going to be real, is the Warriors. Warriors and maybe the Cavs. That's it. And the Cavs is stretching it because of who you kind of give it up is going to hurt them a lot, but I think the Warriors is the only team that legitimately can do it because you're going to get rid of Jimmy Butler and Jonathan Kuminga. You trying to get rid of him anyway, and that's going to be that trade. So LeBron fit right in. It's going to be the same team, but no Jimmy and no Kuminga. And really think about it, Jimmy was nice, but you replace him with LeBron James, and then Kuminga, Steve Kerr for some reason don't play him. Still trying to figure out why he don't play Kuminga, but.
I think I know why, but that's again another conversation.
Because you don't know what a center is. He doesn't, but it could be.
Be. Well, and Kuminga, I mean, for all of his athletic gifts, I don't think he understands how to play effective team basketball all the time. I think he gets a little. I got the rock.
How he gonna learn when he don't play him and he pull him?
Well,
he can't learn.
No, I'm not. I'm saying both things can be true. I'm just saying I think Kuminga is the classic AAU player that again because of his physical ability and he can score, no question about it. But it's just the Warriors want to play a certain way, and I don't know if Kuminga buys into playing that way all the time.
Yeah. No, I think what is his name? Is it Pascal? I forgot his last name. He's a guy on the Warriors. He was like a forward.
Eric Pascal.
Eric Pascal, yeah. And he had the ability to score. And he said that when you play in the Warriors system, like he couldn't do it. He was a dirty work guy over there. He said he couldn't play his game the way he wanted to play. He said in the Warriors, their system is a system, especially built around steps. So you got to fit in with that. Or if you're not, you can't do all that, like you said, style of basketball, show your ability like that. And I was looking at this article again. I was trying to see that they actually named the several teams, but I did. But my two teams, Sean, is definitely, I think, Cleveland, because Cleveland always have ties. But with adding LeBron, even though you're going to lose Jared Allen, but you still have Donovan Mitchell, and you still have Evan Mobley, so you still going to be very competitive. I think that'll be Jared Allen and Hunter that probably get sent to the Lakers. And then the Warriors will be Jimmy Butler and Kuminga. If you got any other team in mind that like could, when they say multiple team, they might call it. It probably really was only two teams. They be stretching when it be like multiple. It probably was only like those two teams exactly.
Yeah, I mean Dallas could hypothetically, but it would take like four guys to make it work financially. So I just don't think Dallas.
Is Cooper Flag in that trade?
No, not at all.
Oh, okay. I was going to say better not be.
Nowhere near. Okay. Now, you're talking like PJ Washington. I think Gafford would have been in the trade, but Gafford just signed an extension, so he's not trade eligible just yet. I don't believe so. So it's not a seamless trade essentially.
No, it's not. That's why I think LeBron would rather probably hoping they waive and stretch his contract once he get paid, and he could pick wherever he want to go, and he could go to a team without them losing anybody. So LeBron been begging to play with Steph Curry for like the last couple of years. So trust me, he was happy when he played with their limits. He said, I don't think a lot of teams gonna give up young players on big contracts, knowing they not only gonna get a year or two out of LeBron anyway. 100%. You hit that right on the head.
And that's the point.
That's the point, because I'm not going to trade Jared Allen, DeAndre Hunter for 1 year LeBron. It ain't worth it. Because it ain't guaranteed that Cleveland go, even though the East wide open. Because honestly, Sean, what I really think is going on, I think the Dallas and the Warriors is a distraction. I believe the two teams that LeBron would want to go to is either Cleveland or New York, because the East wide open. And New York is the big, and he can keep the big market. Mike Brown just went there. He got a history with him. And the East wide open. If he could go to the Knicks, and LeBron, no, he chasing legacy. Let's be real. If LeBron James win for the Knicks, that goal conversation over with. They go because New York crazy. You all gotta do is win one in New York. New York Knicks and like the Chicago Bears, they are a franchise. If you win one for them, you're legendary forever because they thirsty for a championship. That's why KD technically wanted to go to New York, but Kyrie pushed him to Brooklyn. And Najee said, "And LeBron, we trust. I mean, you better enjoy it because it's the last year, my brother." And speaking of LeBron, we trust. 15 years ago, Sean, LeBron broke a lot of trust. A lot of heartbreak was done when the decision was made. LeBron James' decision is the anniversary, Sean, 15 years ago. How one night redrew the NBA map. Let's talk. First of all, you the Heat fan, so I believe you were still a Heat fan during that time. Way before that time.
Of course, yeah, of course.
Let's go back to 15 years ago. Where was you
Mhm.
at when you heard and what did you do when you heard that LeBron was coming to the Heat?
So let me just go back to the day before. So the day before, Chris Bosh and D Wade were on Sports Center with Michael Wilbon, and they both said that they were signing with the Heat. And I was at that point, I was like, "Oh, I'm good. Like, like I'm good." And then, of course, the decision was the next night, and I was in my living room, sitting, waiting for that long, drawn out special. Like, just say it. Like,
it was for a good only pass I do give LeBron. It was for good cause. I do give Bron that. It was for a good cause.
For a good cause, but
it was for a good cause. But yeah, it was an hour of nothingness.
It was longer than the movie Titanic. But yeah, it's like just bring on the water. No, it was definitely it was exciting. I'll be the first to say it was very exciting. I remember wearing my Heat jersey to work the next day, because I lived in Orlando at the time, and of course, Orlando's the home of the Magic, and so ultimately, I think it was. We had never seen anything to this degree, right? We've seen guys shift, in terms of free agent. I remember Shaq was a free agent and went to LA. That was a big deal. That was massive because the Magic, to me, were the only team in the East that could compete with the Bulls at that time. That second, Bulls three-peat team. Once Shaq left Orlando, that took Orlando off the map. Which again, I think David Falk, Jordan's agent, had a lot to do with why that happened, but that's another conversation as well. But yeah, so it was a massive move, and then you're talking about 3 franchise players, getting together and basically saying, "Hey, we're gonna get together and play," and they did it, and it's largely why 15 years later, why we are where we are in the NBA today in terms of player movement and the CBA and things like that nature. So yeah, so it was just massive. It was a seismic move, no question about it.
Before, because I do want to get into how it impacted the NBA, but let me tell you how my side went. So this is 2010. So obviously the Bulls look nice. We got D Rose. We look like, oh, we got a star now. The team look good. We can just put another guy next to him. We know Luol Deng. All right, cool. So I thought my dog was giggling in his sleep. Okay, but so when I was bragging. LeBron coming to the Bulls. You know what? The way LeBron faked me out, you know what I'm finna say. You know what I'm finna say when LeBron faked me out. End of the season. I'm changing my interview. I'm changing my jersey number because nobody shouldn't wear 23. Jordan is the GOAT. He was like all that extra stuff. Jordan is the GOAT. Blase. Nobody should wear it. Only one person wear this jersey number. Nobody else should wear it. I was like, oh yeah, Sean, I'm jumping up. I'm talking crazy. Everybody, we getting Bron. He's like, what you talking about? You 23 retired here. Well, why would he say that? We get Bron. We got Rose. No, I said, oh yeah, we back. We back, Sean. So now I'm sitting, I'm chilling. I'm chilling. Had my Bull stuff on. I'm sitting there cozy. I'm like, man, this taking a long time. Come on, man, it taking a long time. Go ahead now. You going to the Bulls? You already said it, dog. Yeah, I'm taking my time to South Beach. Oh, I'm like, what? Oh boy, I was heated. I was like, we just got good. We finally back in action. I'm like, bro, why? Why would the Chicago Bulls finally get good enough to compete for a championship? Y'all want to put the monsters together. Derrick Rose he didn't even reach his potential yet. But I was pissed off. I ain't gonna lie, I was mad.
Can I tell you though, honestly, I thought he was either going to stay in Cleveland or he was going to go to the Knicks. I honestly thought those were the two teams. I thought the Bulls had an outside chance, just because it's the Bulls. But also, my thing with him was does he really? He's already playing in the shadow of Jordan in terms of, you know, the 23 and, you know, blah, blah, blah. Does he want to actually go to Chicago and play in the United Center
The
in the
crazy part
same
about it,
stadium
I
and look
don't
up
think
every day?
I don't think the Jordan thing was the one that stirred him away. I think it was that he didn't trust the people who was running the team to actually stick to their word. That's what I think the problem was, really. Which he wasn't wrong, because our front office is probably one of the worst. And we hired new people, we still one of the worst. So
okay, and so if I can share this tidbit. So obviously the Bulls had Derrick Rose and had Joakim Noah, and they had Luol Deng. If they had moved Luol Deng, they would have been in the position to have the salary cap space to sign Wade, Bron, and Bosh, but they didn't want to move Luol Deng. So I think that was part of it. And then the Knicks once the Knicks signed Amari Stoudemire, because they signed Amari Stoudemire like a couple days before everything, that was pretty much it for them trying to put together a so-called big three. It was really, you know, Miami or bust in terms of a big three. But yeah, I thought the Bulls had a better chance, but it was, you know, and again,
you know, D-Wade was pushing to come to Chicago early.
Well, and remember, and this was one day. I hope the documentary talks about this. When they initially got on the phone in the offseason, one of the issues was they wanted to all go to a fresh franchise. They didn't want to play for a franchise where one person had already been.
Right.
But again, Miami, Pat Riley, they had been planning this for years, for 2 years. So to be in the position to do it. So, you know, it was them having the foresight to do it, and other teams just didn't, you know, do that at the time. But it was a, you know, so I remember, thinking at the time, I was like, okay, yeah, he's going to go to New York. He'll go play with him and Stoudemire together. You know, that was my thought, or he'll go back to Cleveland.
And it didn't happen. But go through the comment section real quick. Then we got to talk about how did it affect the NBA. PJ said if Detroit was an attractive destination, MK would be dangerous. Yeah, but ain't nobody going to Detroit. And if LeBron go anywhere, he going to a mega city, or he going back home. Bro, if he go to New York, will be the package to New York. I don't want to trade. One of them will have to go. He said, you stop all the jokes, you know, go James. LBJ is not going anywhere. He wants to, but he can't. Lakers in 4. Okay. Yeah. But Sean, how did this decision affect the NBA in your opinion, and does it still have just fingerprints on the NBA?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, when you talk about player empowerment, first and foremost, there was player empowerment before, but not to this degree, because we had never seen a free agent class like 2010 with a number of all-star, superstar, franchise players on the market. When you talk about those 3 guys who went to Miami,
might be the greatest free agent class.
Yeah, it might be the greatest free agent class ever. I think 96 might be in that conversation, but I would still put 2010 up there, you know, as the best without question for me. But, you know, Dirk was a free agent. Amari was a free agent. Carlos Boozer, you know, so you had some big names, you know, and I think, you know, again, at the time, you know, nobody saw this coming. Nobody saw this coming. But I also think, you know, there were a lot of things that when you talk about just the NBA, bless you, over the last, 15 years, what shaped the NBA is not just the decision, but also guys getting together, you know, playing together at the Olympics, you know, and, you know, you're on these Olympic teams and you spending summers with these guys, and it's like, hey, man, you know, if we get a chance, love to play with you. And so you saw that with 2010 and with the decision, but you also saw Chris Paul, you know, get with James Harden, and, you know, Melo get with Stoudemire. And so it was just a different type of NBA at the time. And, you know, and again, I think, you know, we're seeing that slow down now. Free agency is not what it once was. Now it's the trade are bigger than free agency right now.
Yes.
But it was just seismic when you talk about even the way the Heat played and the pace and space, and that being now a big part of the NBA, and teams wanting to spread the floor and shoot a little bit more, but leave driving lanes for their slashers. Like the Heat were one of the first teams to really do that. And to ask a power forward to say, hey, we need you to play center and be our floor spacer and be a stretch big. Asking Chris Bosh to do. So it was a lot of different things that came from it. But to me, what it really said was, guys are going to take more control of their destination and their destinies and their careers, and that's what the decision, ultimately led to.
Just because you hit it, like I kind of agree on some points. I'm gonna attack it from a different point too. What the decision did, LeBron James' decision, is actually open the fan base eyes to hold the people sitting in these front office accountable. And actually build the team the right way. And if you don't do your job, a player will leave. And now LeBron probably was the one guy who got all like the backlash because he was like one of the first players to like do this, especially the way he did it. But I think the decision has opened up the fans' eyes to start holding the front office accountable too. Because at the end of the day, if I have a guy like LeBron James on my team and you see the potential of what this player have, you're supposed to maximize this. Because I'm a victim of it right now, dealing with what my front office is doing. The Bulls hasn't done nothing. We luckily got Derrick Rose, and we didn't even we didn't really capitalize off of it. They got lucky. I think everything with Derrick Rose was luck. The injury sucked too. But yeah, I just think that opened up the fan base eyes with that, man. It's just like, because that ever since after the decision, I started looking at that. Maybe it could be more because I'm a Bulls fan and I have been dealing with one of the worst front offices in the last 20, 30 years, and who just living off a legacy of something in the 90s. Sell the team. But yeah, so that's why I'm looking at the decision. So I didn't want to just repeat the same thing you said, but I do definitely agree with you on a point with the player empowerment, player movement. I think it's getting a little bit watered down.
Yeah.
With the player movement, for me, I'm like, okay, everybody don't need to do this. And also everybody don't need to be if I had to play devil's advocate, the only thing is like everybody don't need to be having a career in a rainbow. But also everybody don't need to be coming to the team and be able to make moves in advance for front office. All y'all ain't LeBron. I don't care if you've been with this friend. No, all y'all, if you've been with a franchise for 10 plus years and you built that cachet with that franchise, cool. But ain't no way Bradley Beal, no offense, Bradley Beal, but we just talked about you. Bradley Beal for to go for the Wizards, ain't done nothing with the Wizards, and then come over to the Phoenix Suns and demand how they move the roster. It's not gonna work like that. No.
Yeah, and one thing I also add to it, SB, when you think about the decision, there were so many news outlets and so many quote unquote insiders and trying to be the one to break the story. I remember like from the moment the Cavs got eliminated by the Celtics in the second round, for the next 40 something days, it was nothing about anything except what is LeBron gonna do.
Yep.
And again, the Wojs and the Brian Windhorst and the Chris Haynes, and I'm not sure. I think Haynes might have been on Yahoo at the time. If I remember
correctly. I think he was still at Yahoo. Yeah.
But the Chris Broussards, I remember Chris Broussard was on it. He was at ESPN at the time. There was so many of them trying to be the one to break the story and break what was going to happen, and that I think really shifted the media landscape of where we are today, which is that's what they try to do now. They try to be the one to say I'm the
first.
I'm the first one to say this was going to happen,
Right.
and so in that vein, a lot of times they don't get the story right because everybody's more like, oh, once LeBron was doing it in Greenwich, Connecticut, and saying, hey, Greenwich, Connecticut, we're going to have this thing at the Boys and Girls Club for LeBron to announce his decision. everybody swore, oh, okay, he's going to New York because Greenwich, Connecticut is literally right there next to New York City. So it was a lot of that. I mean, it was just a crazy time. And, again, it changed the landscape of the news, but the NBA especially.
Yeah, no, I definitely did. Let us know what you guys think about the decision. And also comment down below. Where were you when the decision happened? That is, where were you when the decision happened? Speaking of different changes and new things going on in the NBA, Sean, we have our first ever 7-team trade. I didn't know this was even possible, Sean. Yeah. But obviously, we know the Rockets acquired Kevin Durant. Right. But Sean, I'm going to go down the list. I'm going to go down. Okay. The teams are involved. Rockets, Suns, Nets. Hold on, I got to move my mouse over. Rockets, Suns, Nets, Warriors, Hawks, Lakers, Timberwolves. And the Rockets got Kevin Durant, Clint Capella. Suns get Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks, Kuman from the draft, Rasheed Fleming from the draft, Kobe Breer from the draft, Daquan Flounder, 2026 second round pick, and 2023 second round pick. And don't say for which teams, but then the Nets, who are involved, they just get 2 second round picks, 2026 and 2030 second round picks. The Warriors are involved. They got Alex Tooney, who was their number 52 pick in the draft, and they got Jamir Mashak, who was the 59th pick in this draft. Then the Hawks got involved. The Hawks ended up getting David Roddy, the 2031 second round pick, and cash considerations. The Lakers was in this also trade. They got Otto Thero, who's the number 36 pick in the draft and cash consideration. And then the Minnesota Timberwolves get Rico Zersky, who's the number 45 pick in the draft, 2026 second round pick, 2032 second round pick, and cash considerations. Whew, I'm out of breath. But Sean, how you react to the first 17 trade? Was all this necessary? Probably not, but what's your reaction to it?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's necessary if you're a team that's trying to move assets and things like that. Yeah. Ultimately, it comes down to, what are you getting out of this? If you're able to move a contract as a part of this trade that you may not necessarily want on your books, and you're able to get future second round picks and future draft considerations, certainly that matters. I think in this new collective bargaining age, SB, I think the value of second round picks can't be understated. Yeah. And so, I think that's how, particularly if you're a team that's very top heavy in terms of your roster construction from a salary perspective. So
that second round pick will be a rotation player, 8th man off the bench, 7th man off the bench.
It could very well be, so, we saw Cam Whitmore get traded for 2 future second round picks.
It actually did pee me off when I realized what he got traded for.
So
easily got him.
So I think that's what we're seeing. But that said, obviously we talked about Kevin Durant going to the Rockets. He's the prize in this trade. The Rockets come out the big winners in this trade, obviously, and certainly, as we said, we expect to see them in the Western Conference Finals if healthy next season.
Real quick before I get my take on this, Courageous asks, do you guys think the Lakers get Bradley Beal? H to the no. I can make it quick for you. No.
No, I don't think so.
No, it's not gonna happen. But obviously, like you said, Kevin Durant is the big prize in this whole trade. I think he's going to a perfect situation with the Houston Rockets. Hopefully, they don't let KD make a decision to ask for the trade for, because he's gonna want all scorers and no defenders. But now he's going to an established situation with a lot of great players with a young team. Fred VanVleet, the Thompson kid, Sengun, Jabari Smith. For them to keep all those guys and got Kevin Durant. And I know Kevin Durant is a little bit older, but the one thing that they was missing was a closer. Kevin Durant don't have to do too much when he comes to this Rockets team. He literally got to play, score his buckets, don't be a liability on defense, and when the game comes up in the fourth, knock down a shot. That's all they need. That's literally all they need. They just needed a closer. And I think for them to get Kevin Durant, and then everything else, I think Jalen Green needs to take advantage of the new opportunity. You go to Phoenix. You need to work on consistency on his game. That's about it. Offensive consistency. And then everybody else is just like what else, because they people in the draft. So we don't know until we see them on the court. A real quick story, funny story, Sean. Hold on. Take me some medicine after the show.
Bless you.
Thank you. Oh, I think it's just allergies. The summer cold is crazy. Paul Pierce, it was a reply to another reply to a show. I guess KD was just talking about like a son about scoring and LeBron commenting about scoring. And then Paul Pierce said he was one of the purest scorers in NBA history. Do you agree with Paul, or he's out his man? Paul had some crazy takes before, but do you agree, Paul, or is he out his man?
I mean, the problem is what is a pure score?
I guess the ability to just have the ability to score right off bat. Natural talent to score.
Right. So the NBA has had, I think, almost 5,000 guys put on a uniform in almost 80 years. There's been a lot of pure scorers in the NBA.
Yeah.
So, I know Paul Pierce has a high opinion of his career.
Nice.
And I never said he wasn't nice, but sometimes that one ring just can be the worst thing to ever happen to somebody, and I really believe that.
Hey, they still milking that championship to this day, boy.
Yeah. But no, Paul Pierce, and I'm not saying Paul Pierce wasn't nice. I'm saying that there are a lot of pure scorers in the history of the NBA. Go all the way back to Elgin Baylor and Jerry West, and there was some guys who could absolutely score the basketball. Elgin Baylor, has the record for the most points in a finals game, 61, pure score.
Yeah.
So and without a 3-point shot. So like, let's not do that.
I think when it comes to like the pure scorer conversation, like you said, it's hard to say, like, because that's the case. When you say who's the best pure scorer, I'm looking at now, I'm saying from day one to you ended, were you that great of a scorer? And Paul Pierce, he can put himself in that conversation, but I don't know if he was the best pure scorer in NBA history. You got guys like Kevin Durant, you got T-Mac, you got Jordan. And if you want to not air attack somebody, I know somebody gonna be like, oh, they really skill. Wilt was there, like you said, Dr. J, Iceman, George Gervin. You got people who's in that conversation. If not even like trying to rank, because like if you guys watching the show and new people watching, we kind of don't really do rankings. We do tiers. Sean educated us on tiers, so we kind of run with the tiers down. But give me, that's what I said, not saying nobody better than Paul Pierce. Outside Paul Pierce, give me 3 tier 1 pure scorers in NBA history. You have to pick 3 on top of the head.
Kevin Durant.
Agreed.
Elgin Baylor.
Okay.
Pure scorer. Bernard King.
I like that. Okay. I'm gonna try to go a little bit different from you.
Yeah.
And then some of the I'm gonna try to stick to like ones I see.
Yeah.
Carmelo Anthony, for sure. I'll mess your head up with this one. Career got shortened, but Brandon Roy, for sure. Brandon Roy was definitely a pure bucket. But you looking like you questioned it. You don't think B. Roy was a pure scorer?
Well, no, I just think about he just had an overall great game. Like he was different. He was complete to me. That's why it's hard for me to say. I don't think of him as just a scorer. That's what I mean.
Oh yeah, no, he was a beast. He was a beast. Had pure score. Who I look at and be like, I should be funny and just be like Michael Beasley. Because Michael Beasley is a bucket. That's about it. That's everyone's about a bucket.
Yeah, and there's other names that come to mind for me. Alex English was an absolute bucket.
Hey, I'm gonna be real with you, Sean. And nobody want to give him credit because of this generation didn't really see him to the tail end of his career. I'll put Ray Allen on that list. Prime Ray Allen was a pure bucket. And if you ain't seen Prime Ray Allen, if you tell me Ray Allen just a shooter, you're lying. You're lying. Ray Allen was a pure bucket. A bucket getter any which way. You want it at the basket, you want the mid-range, you want the 3, you want it off the dribble, catch it. Ray Allen was a bucket. Prime Ray Allen. Y'all better go watch Ray Ray. Ray Ray was different. Now, Sean, salute Tiffany in the building. Salute Go James in the building. Salute everybody watching on Go James Kingdom 2, by the way. Sean, we got to go into the last segment, fun segment of the day. Go QB season in franchise, supposed to say in franchise history. How do I forget history? But in the franchise history, we'll fix that. But AFC South is the first name on the first division on the list. So if you guys, if you guys what division y'all want us to do next, comment in the comment section. But go ahead, Sean, explain how this is gonna go.
So I want to explain how this is going to go, right? So we're breaking down every division in the NFL, and we're looking at the GOAT, the best quarterback season for each franchise in their history. Now, here's the rules. Number one, that quarterback must have played for that franchise at least 4 seasons. At least 4 seasons. That's number one. Number two, we cannot reuse quarterbacks. So if you're a quarterback that played for 2 different franchises, you only get to be used once on this list. All right. Winning the Super Bowl, that's great, but that's a team accomplishment. But you don't necessarily have to win the Super Bowl for your season to be considered, but it is a nice accomplishment. It does help, but it is not an absolute. Okay. So those are the parameters, those are the rules. Here we go.
All right, here we go. Tiffany said AFC. Of course, she wants the AFC North next.
Of course, she wants the AFC North next.
Of course, she wants the AFC North next. Shout out, Tiff. All right, Sean, Houston, Texas. First, who you picking? I know who I'm picking, and I ain't changing my pick.
So, Houston, Texas, obviously, they don't have a long history, right? Really only 2 guys in the running for this. Matt Schaub was in the running his 2009 season, 4,770 yards, 29 touchdowns, 15 interceptions, really good season. However, there was a quarterback season better in Houston, Texas history, and it is Deshaun Watson in 2020.
I will have to agree with you. I picked Deshaun Watson 2022.
Yeah, his numbers, 70.2% completion percentage, 4,823 passing yards for an 8.9 average, 33 touchdown passes, 7 interceptions for a 112.4 QB rating, 90 rushes, 444 yards for 3 touchdowns. One of the best seasons we've ever seen, and the Texans were absolutely terrible, and it had nothing to do with Deshaun Watson. He was tremendous.
I ain't never seen the team that's that bad and the quarterback play that good. I have.
Yeah, and I've said this. I think after Patrick Mahomes, because Patrick Mahomes was tremendous that year, Deshaun Watson was right there as the second best quarterback in the NFL that season. He was that good.
Yeah, no, I definitely have to agree with you on that one. Not to just beat a dead horse and repeat everything that you were saying, but yes, Deshaun Watson was out of his mind. And the Houston Texans one was kind of easier to pick because, like you said, their history wasn't that long. Maybe we got a quarterback in the future. If we do this again, maybe he might catch him. They actually got another guy. But yeah, the Deshaun Watson season in 2020 was outstanding. That's the reason why the Cleveland Browns gave him a fully guaranteed contract when he got one. It was like nobody questioned why you give Deshaun Watson that contract after that season. We thought he was going to be the real deal. Obviously, things happen. Injuries happen. He ain't been the same. I don't know if he ever could get to that level that he played in 2020. But if he can do half of that, the Cleveland Browns will probably be happy. Next up on the list, Sean, Indianapolis Colts.
So Indianapolis Colts obviously started in Baltimore with the Baltimore Colts, moved to Indianapolis in the mid-'80s, early to mid-'80s. So that franchise history does, matter because they are still the Colts. They were the Colts in both places. In the running, Andrew Luck, his 2014 season, he had 40 touchdowns, 16 interceptions, 4,700 yards passing. Johnny Unitas in 1959, and keep in mind, this is 1959. So he had 2,899 passing yards, 32 touchdown passes, 14 interceptions in 1959. When you talk about the modern passing game, is Sammy Baugh and Johnny Unitas really started that back in the day. But there can only be one. It is without question Peyton Manning in 2004. That 2004 season.
I want to see what season you was gonna pick.
Yeah. Peyton Manning in 2004 was 67.7% completion percentage, 4,557 yards passing for a 9.2 average, 49 touchdowns.
49 touchdowns in 2004 is ridiculous.
Yes, 10 interceptions, 121 rating. He was the MVP that season.
Yes, he was.
The best Peyton Manning Indianapolis Colts season 2004 Peyton Manning. That is their GOAT quarterback season for the Colts.
We're on the same page again with this one, Sean. You could have. I would say the next one you could have probably did 06, but that was my second. Like you could do 06. That was my secondary one. Even the Andrew. Look, I just think Peyton Manning was just outstanding. But 2004, 50 touchdowns. And 2004 is ridiculous. And, everybody say you can't play defense. During that era, you could play defense. And he put up almost 50 touchdowns during that season and was efficient with the ball and was dissecting defenses. The crazy part about it, he didn't win the Super Bowl this year. He won it next year. And he still was outstanding. But, yeah, this season is undoubtedly one of the best seasons that Peyton Manning had ever seen. That I do agree. Now, this one is going to be a rough one because I ain't gonna even hold you, Sean. I had all my picks and I was sitting there, man. I'm getting my hair twisted. Majority of the time, I get my hair twisted. I was trying to figure out. I'm like, do they have a good quarterback season? It's just like it's nothing here that makes me like greatness. Nothing here is making me. Nothing in Jaguars quarterback history make me say outstanding, great GOAT play. I don't see none of that. But I would love to hear who you picked. I'll be real with you. I couldn't pick. I wouldn't do it. I
would tell you, SB, doing this exercise, of all the teams in this division, this was the most difficult one. When I went back and I looked, because again, Jaguars don't have a long history. They're only 30 years old. Came into the NFL in '95, so they're only 30 years old. Don't have a lot of all-time great quarterback play. Mark Brunell was their first franchise quarterback. He was in the running for this. He had a season 1998, 2,601 yards, 20 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. David Garrard in 2007, he had 2,509 yards, 18 touchdown passes to 3 interceptions. Blake Bortles, crazy as it may sound, Blake Bortles in 2015 had 35 touchdown passes but 18 interceptions, and he threw for over 4,400 yards.
Just pick Trevor Lawrence and let's get it over with.
It is Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence in 2022, his second season. Yeah, his second season. He was 66.3% completion percentage, 4,113 yards passing for 7 yards average, 25 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. He also had 62 rushes for 291 yards and 5 rushing touchdowns. So, again, not a long history. That was this again the hardest one to do, but this is their GOAT quarterback season. Although, again, when you look at some of those early Jaguar teams, some of their really good teams that got the AFC Championship game, Mark Brunell didn't have the best numbers those years, but they were just a good overall complete team, but his numbers weren't the greatest those years.
All right, I know who you're gonna pick on this one, and I know you was going. I know who you finna pick for this team, and I definitely went the opposite way. Just gotta know who you picking. One, because you super high on this person anyway, but he was that deal there. Titans.
So yeah, Titans again. So I want to.
Oh wait, maybe you're not gonna pick that. Wait, no. But you know what? You see, we on the same page. I know what you. Okay,
right.
So, who you think?
So the Titans, again, were previously the Houston Oilers. They relocated to Tennessee, to Memphis, and then to Nashville, and rebranded the Titans. So I'm only looking at the Titans' history for this. Okay. And again, only a couple guys really in the running. Marcus Mariota in 2016, he had 3,426 yards passing, 26 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. 60 rushes, 349 yards, and 2 TDs rushing. But that said, it is without question 2003 Steve McNair.
Yes, sir.
62.5 completion percentage, 3,215 yards passing for 8 yards average, 24 touchdowns, 7 interceptions for a 104 rating. And he was the co-MVP of the NFL that year with Peyton Manning. It is so Steve McNair, 2003 Tennessee Titans GOAT quarterback season.
I have to agree with you. And I didn't know we added the extra, but I knew. I was like, I know Sean gonna pick that. I'm picking McNair. I'm going with that same year, Steve McNair. Steve McNair was outstanding that season, MVP, co-MVP with Peyton. That tell you how good he was. They had the co-MVP. They couldn't pick. They had the co-MVPs. I have to agree with you. But the bonus is, because the team that used to be the Titans, the Houston Oilers.
Houston Oilers. Again, Houston Oilers were around for about 35 years before they moved and rebranded. So this one was almost pretty too easy, to be honest. They didn't have a great quarterback history before this guy got there.
Nope.
So this is Warren Moon in 1990.
Yep, I get that. Right here, looking at the highlighter right there. That's why I pointed it. I was like, I know Sean. I'm picking Steve. I'm still picking Steve, but yes.
Yeah, Warren Moon in 1990, 62% completion percentage, 4,689 yards passing for an 8-yard average, 33 touchdown passes.
Warren Moon was different.
Warren Moon. You're talking about the run and shoot offense. He ran that offense to perfection. But when you talk about just his GOAT season in Houston, he had a couple really good years, but this season in particular, he was off the charts. He was third in MVP voting, behind Joe Montana and Randall Cunningham. He was tremendous that year. So Warren Moon,
91 was nice too.
91 was nice too. Yeah, 91 was nice too, but 90 had the slight advantage just for me. So 90 Warren Moon, GOAT season, Houston Oilers.
I'm going to say, just to play devil's advocate, I'm going to pick 91 only because he had a better record. He was 11-5. I'm going to play devil's advocate.
Team accomplishment, but yeah.
Hey, look, the stats matter. The stats matter, but also, to just say shout out Warren Moon to almost have 2 back-to-back seasons of 5,000 yards in the 90s.
Yeah. Well, I always tell people, when you talk about the 90s quarterbacks, Warren Moon is right there.
He's in the conversation.
He's right there.
Yeah. Okay, Sean, been another great episode of Real Takes Over Fake Debates. Thank you guys for watching. But before we do it, for the new people watching, we do the end of the show web. So we I think 7-3 for this one. So what you got?
73
players to wear. Yeah.
73.
If you don't got enough, you can use 7 or 3. If you don't got stuff for 70.
You know what? Let's go with Dennis Rodman.
Dennis Rodman was 73?
Yeah, he wore 73.
No way.
And, hold on. I think he did.
He did.
Was it with the Lakers?
Yep, Lakers in 99.
Yeah. But
that's an elite pool.
Yeah, but that was a disaster. I'm just not gonna lie. So no, but I'm gonna go with one of the best offensive linemen of all time, Larry Allen, the late Larry Allen from the Cowboys. Larry Allen was a monster. Oh my God, absolute monster. So
I'm gonna take the nasty pick. I'm taking Dennis Rodman, the disgusting Laker year with Dennis Rodman. But we appreciate all you guys for watching. This has been another great episode of Real Takes Over Fake Debates. SB and Sean Webb, and we will see you guys on the next one. Peace, and we out. I'm pretty good. Give me some Theraflu.
Real Takes Over Fake Debates.